Good morning, nerds. I'm going to take this sip of coffee right here. It is the start of a beautiful March morning, and here in the American Southeast, everything is already covered in pollen. I actually had to stop from the starting the episode because I started sneezing, tremendously right when things were getting started, which is just wonderful. Everything is wonderful. I am your third favorite nerd news host, Joseph Craven, and here are the nerd news that you want to hear, or that you're gonna hear, regardless of want or desire. Hey, a toy leak on Twitter has all but confirmed the special Spider-Man suit in the Avengers Infinity War movie. Let's be honest, we kind of knew it already. This part might have minor spoilers if you don't like hearing about, Spider-Man suits from the comics. So, if you're not into that, tune out for the next minute or so. I'll wave my arms like that to let you know when you can tune back in. At the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, we saw Tony Stark offer Peter Parker a brand new advanced Spider-Man suit. This suit seemed to be based off of the Iron Spider suit that we saw in the comics, and we appear to see Peter using this suit in the Infinity War trailer. Well, a toy prototype that came out on Twitter has pretty much all but confirmed that the Iron Spider suit is appearing in a pretty similar Iron Spider iteration, but also using these little robot legs that we saw in the Iron Spider suit. Unfamiliar with Iron Spider? Well, that costume debuted actually during the Civil War comic book storyline, if I remember correctly. And it's an important suit to utilize when talking about the Captain America Tony Stark conflict. Spider-Man was torn between loyalty to Cap, loyalty to Tony during this comic book storyline Civil War. He joined Tony, revealed his identity, was part of the Pro Superhero Registration Act, and then surprise, surprise, it backfired, and he was ambushed and beaten to a pulp. And then rescued by the anti-registration heroes, and then went over there. But anyway, in all that, Tony Stark gave him an Iron Spider suit to use. It was supposed to be armored, more protection. Really, I bring up all of that to remind you that the comic book storyline of Civil War was much better than the movie storyline. So, okay, you can tune back in now. And a quick shout out to anyone joining us in the live chat. Surprise, surprise, look at that. It's it's over here. It's just Tyler. Tyler's here. He's not dead. If you're in the live chat, if you're watching us live, say hello, and whatever you talk about will probably pop up there. Maybe not. We'll find out if it's worthwhile. Heroes of My Hero Academia, fans of My Hero Academia will be pleased to hear that Season 3 of the popular show will be simultaneously released in America and Japan at the same time. That's what simultaneously means, in case you're curious about that. Funimation has big plans for the popular show, airing the first 6 episodes of Season 3 on their streaming service Funimation Now on the same day that they broadcast in Japan. These episodes will be available in English, simuldub, and subtitled simulcast formats. Doesn't that sound official? Just fancy words for subs and dubs, right? Why don't we just say subs and dubs? Why did we have to say English simuldub and subtitled simulcast formats? Why do we have to say that? Why do we make everything more complicated? Recently rewatched Community, and I still laugh at the episode where the guy from The Wire comes in to teach biology, and he's like, "Hey, whatever happened to Legos? They used to be so simple, now they're just complicated. Why we gotta complicate everything?" My Hero Academia's these first 6 episodes will be available starting April 7th this year. This is not a new thing. Funimation actually did this last year with Season 2 as well. Apparently well received enough to go ahead and do this whole release schedule again. After April 7th, the full 25 episode season will stream in simuldub on Funimation Now and in subtitled simulcast on Hulu and Crunchyroll. Here's a quick question for you if you're sitting there in the live chat down there in the audience. Does stuff like this make you more interested in a specialized streaming service like Funimation Now? Do you want to spend the $6 a month on Funimation Now just to have exclusive content like this? Genuinely curious. I don't subscribe to it. I do have, Netflix and Hulu subscriptions sitting around. So I want to know, if you like something this much, is this something that you will consider subscribing in? Just want to see what the thought process is about that. Tyler says, he lives. That was it. I literally just pulled up the live chat to say that about time. Hey, here's Lack Mirror. Really? Lack Mirror. We cut off the, looking over here at the production assistant. Interns, man. Interns. Okay, well, that's supposed to be Black Mirror, even though season 4 of Black Mirror just debuted not terribly long ago. We have season... Well, warn me when you're going to do it. Season 5 has already been announced. Netflix went ahead and came on out and said, guess what? There will be a terrifying 5th season of this show. No episodes are currently in production. This is literally a quick announcement. We won't get anything for another year or so as far as new content. But this modern take on Twilight Zone-esque storytelling is big enough and popular enough that Netflix wanted to go ahead and snatch it up and make sure everyone knew it will happen. Don't worry. This is good news because a lot of times some of the big shows recently we've seen kind of hang in limbo a little bit of like, well, we know it's going to be renewed, but why haven't they announced it yet? We kind of had that situation with Atlanta, with Legion, both FX shows, in which we're like, well, I mean, clearly they're going to do another season with it, but when? And they were kind of vague until all of a sudden there's a release date. Netflix avoiding all that and saying, hey, here's Black Mirror. Are you a Black Mirror fan? I haven't ever watched the show, mostly because I'm scared enough of technology that I keep a healthy distance and respect for it, I think that's just the smart thing to do. There was an episode of something like Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that I saw as a kid, in which some kids were getting trapped inside of a virtual pet, like a computer virtual pet or something like that, and it terrified me when I was a child. If anyone remembers what show this was or what the episode was, keep it to yourself. I don't want to be reminded. I've spent years trying to block that out, years in therapy, trying to forget that episode ever happened. Fortnite developers have said that they're working very hard to ban particular type of gamer, and sadly enough, no, it is not old row bros. Players discovered a strange loophole where if a group of friends tried to find and join a game right at the exact same time, chances were, because of the huge scale of 100-person multiplayer matches, chances are they would be able to end up in the same match as each other and therefore work together in a solo match. We're not talking about the group matches. We're not talking about a squad match here. We're talking about people teaming up in solo matches. This was apparently happening a lot, and developers are saying they're working towards working against that. There we go. Trying to fix that sort of thing so that you don't have groups of 5 or 6 dudes trying to team up, control a solo match, and therefore make sure one of their buddies wins the thing. Developers at Epic Games are working to fix this weird loophole, as well as continuing to work to add jetpacks to the game, this highly multiplayer game, in order to, further dig into the kind of comic and more stylized gameplay to further separate it from, PUBG or DayZ or whatever game in the genre came first. Candy Crush, maybe? Was Candy Crush the first in this? I don't know. If we've learned anything from developers at Epic's track record with developers, then they will address this issue, accidentally break the game, and then promise continued support that will, of course, die out within a year. So, thanks, Epic. All right. Dark Horse Comics has announced an upcoming comic book series compiling some short stories from the work of Neil Gaiman. Artist Mark Buckingham will be in charge of taking these 4 Neil Gaiman stories. They will be entitled Likely Stories, and we'll put them together into a compilation series. Likely Stories were 4 stories that had already been turned into and adapted for TV in 2016, so not long ago, by Sky TV. These stories are Looking for the Girl, Foreign Parts, Closing Time, and Feeders and Eaters. Those are the 4 stories. We've already had these stories in written format and then TV format, so Buckingham is trying to focus on taking the 4 stories and retelling them together to give a little bit different perspective. His goal is to retell them as a complete collection. Gaiman and Buckingham have worked together before on Miracle Man. So there you go. So if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman, are you excited about this, seeing more of his work in comic form? Or is this one of those things where you're like, they've already done it a few times, why this? I'm just curious. Just curious. My wife happens to be a bigger Neil Gaiman fan than I am, which I think is interesting. I don't know why that's interesting. I think it's because she doesn't read comics or anything. Oh, there's the lower third. That means it's time for me to shut up and dribble. That'll wrap things up here on In 3. I'm Joseph Craven. There's a lot of news out there in the world, and we, almost arbitrarily choose to report on about 5 or 6 of those stories. Do you like retro gaming? Here's something for you. Tonight on Super Squad D YouTube channel, go over there, subscribe if you haven't. I will be playing one of my favorite games from nearly 20 years ago, from my childhood, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. Why am I replaying Ogre Battle 64, a tactical RPG? Well, a couple of reasons. Tomorrow, I turn 30, and so I guess I'm just desperately trying to hold on to any bit of youth that I can. But also because I recently discovered that when I played it 20 years ago, I played it entirely wrong, and I need to right those wrongs. If you're interested in having to join in on that, I don't know what that meant. Oh. Lawyered. Okay. If you're interested in joining in on that, subscribe to Super Squad D and join me tonight when I live stream a Nintendo 64 game for no one's enjoyment. Okay, that's gonna go ahead and finish things up here for me on In 3 Nerd News. For Tyler, I'm Joseph Craven, and you don't know you're beautiful.